Hello, 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 and welcome into Roaming with Rover. This is Robin, and this is Finish It Friday. I know. I missed a week. Well, you know, that's how things go. But guess what? I have a finished object. I know, it's impossible, right? Absolutely impossible. That can't be, that cannot be. Well, it is, sort of. I think it counts. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm counting it. Well, as you guys know, for some reason, my little brain has only been able to work on one thing at a time. Well, sort of two things at a time, but really only one thing at a time. I have been working on Miss Dana's exchange project, the block exchange, the hashtag spring block exchange. And I know that's not the right hashtag. I will put the right hashtag in the description box and in the title and all the places. And let me think for a second. It's not too late to join. If you can sit down and crochet and get these things done and in the mail by the 1st of May. That's the only deadline, is it's got to be done by the 1st of May. They have to be 10-inch squares. They have to block out to 10 inches. And this is one of those things where you really do need to block it, because we're going to be taking squares from other people. So they have to be a solid 10-inch square. And they cannot be made out of animal fiber. That's all the rules right there. That's it. And then mail them off by May 1st. If you can do that, you can still play. I think there's still one exchange open and available, one list. Okay. So this was my block, and the name of my block was Willamette, and it was, oh my gosh, I can't remember, but it was done on the bias, or not bias, but it was done like this. Instead of going this way or around, you went from this corner out like that. And I cannot remember what it's called, but I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to learn how to do that. I know I get myself in the weirdest angles, but when I saw this block, I knew this was the block I wanted to do, because I had always wanted to do that. And so when I found this block, I knew this is the one I was going to do. This square, I wanted to do it. So it looks like this. This is the way it'll look in the blankie when they put it together. I used a mandala cake. I used 2 full cakes and a tiny, tiny bit of a third one. My squares, I'll show them to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, told you I had to break into a third one. This was the third one that I broke into. I got to right there. I got to the end of this blue, and I had to change into the third cake of the mandala. And it was not the same color. It was a different color. But I think it worked perfectly fine. You cannot even tell that this was not the same grouping of colors. Yeah, and you know, nobody else will know, because it's one per person that it's going to. So I think it works absolutely fine. Yeah, no problem at all. So that's only 11, you say, and you were supposed to do 12. So you do 12 blocks that are block out to a 10-inch square. Now, the other day, in our group of people, one of the people in our group was Miss Cynthia, and Miss Cynthia lives just down the road from me. So Miss Cynthia and I decided to get together and go have coffee and chit chat, which we are wont to do on occasion. And so Miss Cynthia and I went together, and I told her, we knew we were going to exchange our blocks. And I told her, well, Miss Cynthia, because my blocks are, they're the same yarn, but they are all different colors. You get to pick which block you want. And she was very excited. And so Miss Cynthia picked, let me show you. I have it set aside right here. This is the block she picked. She liked this color. So that's the block that Miss Cynthia picked for her blanket. Now, when you receive these in the mail, you're going to get them from 11 different people, and then you will connect them together. I'm going to crochet mine together with a little ridge, and I haven't decided because I haven't seen them, but I might do like a single crochet around each one and then connect the single crochets together. Who knows? We'll see when they all get here. So you'll connect them together, and this is the right side on this one because you can see the little bumps. It's got some, there you go. It's got some front post double crochets, so there's a little bump on there. So she picked this one, and of course I took it back from her because I still need to block it and do my ends, but I wanted her to pick out her color. And now I will block it, and then we'll meet again for coffee, and we'll exchange our blocks. And then she gave me my block. Hers, of course, is all done and blocked, and the ends are in. And this is the block I received from her. Isn't it pretty? That is a really intricate block. And I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I love it. So, just sort of as an idea, now this is not gonna work. Let me see if I can pin it together. Let me see if I can pin it together. But, just sort of an idea, this is kind of sort of how this is gonna go. You'll get all these different blocks from people. Yeah, I wish I had another pin for the bottom part because it's still gonna not want. And then you'll make your blanket. You'll connect your blocks together and make your blankie. And then when you get your blanket, even though there are 12 of us that are gonna have the same blocks, everybody will have different ideas on how they wanna put them together. So they'll still look like 12 different blankets. So yeah, there's my first 2 blocks. Her first 2 blocks. See now, as a for instance, with that pink, let's say I decide to keep this block for myself. See how different that looks? What a difference those colors look. These colors from those colors. See how different that looks with those colors there? So yeah, so it's gonna look very, very different. So I connected this to hers so I knew which block was hers. So I will block it first and get those ends woven in so that we can get together and finish that up. So I'm counting that as a finished object, even though it's really not, because it's still not blocked and the ends done. So that's what I gotta focus on next week, is getting those ends done and blocked. Shouldn't be too bad. I have several blocking mats. I don't have enough blocking pins to do. I'm probably get 2 at a time done. And I like to, you guys should go over and watch Miss Dana's. Miss Dana did a video about blocking and the different ways that, not the different ways that people block, but the different theories that people have about blocking and doing your ends. I am of the school that I don't do my ends until after I block, because sometimes things change shape once you block, and that can cause puckering if you have done your ends before you block. So I block first, then do my ends. I don't think it makes as much difference if you've used acrylic, but it can make a difference. So I am of the block first, then do your ends school of blocking. Not that I blocked a whole lot, but I you know, occasionally I block things. So my block exchange blocks are finished being crocheted. And that's what I have really worked on the last several weeks as far as getting something crocheting. This is literally the only thing I have crocheted. Isn't that so strange for me? My mind is super busy. I have projects galore, but not crochet projects. This is the only crochet project I have been working on. Isn't that so weird? Now I'm gonna have to pull out, I'm gonna have to go back to one of my Finish It Friday videos or dig through my piles and see what I wanna work on next. I know I was working on that stocking, but I can only work on that for a little bit of time. And then I have to look at my other stuff and see what I was working on, because I can't remember. I can't even remember what I was working on. Isn't that funny? I also am still working on the Sunday knit along, and I do have that sitting over there. But, you know, and that's every week that's gonna be pretty much all summer. Yeah, it is all summer and part of the fall. And be on the watch out, because Miss Cheryl and I are gonna be starting another make along at the same time, and we're gonna be announcing it it'll be kind of run at the same time as this knit along, Sunday mornings, I believe, and we're both doing a shawl. Hers will be knit, mine will be crochet, so everybody can come and play. Mine will be very simple pattern, but it's gonna be fun. It'll be an easy pattern, and it'll be easy pattern. So I hope you guys will come and play with us. So other than that, the one thing I wanted to show you, I picked up this book, and it's called Sock Yarn One Skein Wonders. This lady, apparently, her name is Judith Durant, and I really haven't looked at this book a whole lot yet, but apparently she's got a series of One Skein Wonders. And I didn't know that when I grabbed this book. And the only reason I grabbed this book, I was at my local yarn store, and it was in the half price bin. And I was kind of flipping through it, and I grabbed this one because I do have quite a collection of sock yarn, and I don't make socks. I want to, but I will never get through all the sock yarn that I have with socks. And I thought this might be a good way to use up some of that sock yarn. Now, it is primarily knit, but I got to thinking there's probably a good crossover. And then when I was looking through it, there's actually a handful of crochet projects in here. So there's this pretty hat. This is a crocheted hat out of sock yarn. And I liked it. It's got some beadwork. It's gonna be hard to see. You're not gonna be able to see in this picture, I don't think. But right on this edge, right there, yes you can. You see there's some beadwork right there. So that's nifty. And then this is interesting. It's called the Autumn Rose Neck Wrap. So that's a pretty little bit of a foofy kind of a scarfy thing. And I think probably if you didn't want to do the roses, you could do this without the roses and it would be fine. But that gives it quite a bit of prettiness. And here's a market bag, which I don't think of making a market bag out of fingering weight yarn, which is basically, sock yarn is basically fingering weight yarn. So the difference between fingering weight yarn Typically, sock yarn is fingering weight yarn. Fingering weight yarn isn't always sock yarn. So what I have learned is, in order for it to be considered sock yarn, it needs to have nylon in it. So normally when you see a fingering weight yarn that is called sock yarn, it's gonna be either a 75-25 with something, wool, cotton, whatever, and 25% nylon. That nylon gives it the strength so it doesn't wear through. You can have 100% cotton, 100% nylon, 100% wool, whatever, but that's typically not going to be good for socks because you need that nylon in there for the strength. So you can have fingering weight yarn that isn't sock yarn. Okay, here's our basic granny square bag. That's kind of pretty. And the idea here is that all of these are made out of one skein of sock yarn, but they could also be just fingering weight yarn. Yep, one ball. And then this is the one that I was really surprised about. And it's just one panel, but it is, and they're using Malabringo. Oh, you know, I love that Malabringo. It's a panel for a curtain panel. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is filet crochet. And honestly, you could use any kind of fingering weight yarn. It does not have to be Malabringo for this, especially something that you're going to hang in a window. I do not think I would use Malabringo. This is superwash merino wool. So that's not even really sock yarn. But yeah, I would use any fingering weight for that. That's going to be gorgeous. Gorgeous. And if you wanted something a little bigger, go up to a size 2. If you've got a size 2, a hank of size 2 yarn hanging around, you can do the exact same thing. It's just gonna make it a little bit bigger. And this panel ends up being 26 inches wide by 20 inches long. That's pretty. That is very pretty. So in this book, that's about it for crochet. But just flipping through here, they've got some things. So, boy, that looks crochet. Yeah, this is crochet. Nope, it says knit. And boy, does that, because it says a hook size. Reading glasses case. It looks crochet and it says you need a size G. Yeah. Oh, the instructions aren't. You got to go to a different. There's the front post triple crochet. Oh, this must be from, sometimes the designer is Edie Ekman. We love her. We love her. However, sometimes when the person who writes the pattern is from over the pond, they will say, okay, we're going to knit it. We're going to start knitting. We're going to knit this. But they use the word knitting interchangeably when they're actually talking about crocheting. So it said, the instructions say knitting the case and it's crochet. So that threw me. But this is definitely crochet. So I'm going to start flipping. I'm going to flip through this book a little more. Look at that pretty. Isn't that pretty? And I'll bet you, first off, I bet there's more patterns in here that are crochet. But even if there's not, my wondering was just, what other things can we do with one skein of fingering weight yarn? And not even so much patterns was I looking for as just ideas of about how far is that going to go. And this is why I bought this book for this top right here. It's knit, but it looks pretty simple. Isn't that pretty? It's just a very simple tank top. I think I can do this. Maybe I'll need some help when I get to the shoulder and doing some decreasing. And you know I'm not doing that little fluffy thing here. I'm past the age of wearing something like that. But one of my grands would wear that. Absolutely. And they're saying from a girl's large to a woman's extra small, a girl's large, woman's extra small, up to a 32 chest circumference with 1 skein of yarn. So if I had 2, which I have 2 on a ton of things, you ought to be able to do this. That's why I bought this book, was because of that. And I had forgotten about it until just a second when I was showing it. But look at these beautiful shawls. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. Now I know these are beyond my ability, but what I was, like I said, what I was looking for was ideas of how far 1 skein is gonna go so that I could do some crochet. Ooh, that's interesting. It's called a lettuce wrap. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, pretty, pretty. And this, I don't know why that caught my eye so much, but I'll bet we could figure out a way to do something very similar to that in some kind of a crochet stitch. Can't be that hard. Can't be that hard. Lots of charts. Oh my gosh, this is pretty. What do you think about that? I like that. So I don't know. I'm just gonna mess around and flip through this thing. And I mean, look at this. This is basically, we could do this with a single or a double crochet, and then I know how to do that little flippy do on the end. I know how to make that. This is 4.5 inches wide and 50 inches long. So 50 inches long doesn't have to be that long. You can make it a little bit shorter to make up for the difference, because you know crochet takes a little more. But if you're doing single crochets, it's not going to take up that much more. And they're using a superwash merino mohair mix, so that's very soft. Yeah, that's really pretty. I like that. I like it, I like it. This is pretty, very colorful. I'm not one for scarves much, but I really like that one with the little flippity-doo. And then they do have socks, several pairs of socks in here. Bridal socks. You know, basic socks. So, mittens, cuffs, and we know we can make those all the time. We know we can make those. Little hair, headbands, berets, and just, you know, basic hats. So, yeah. So I got that book on sale for 10 bucks. And I figured for $10, well worth it. It was regularly 19 bucks plus, you know, tax, etc. And it makes me want to look at some of her other books. She's got one called 101 Yarn Shop Favorites, 1 Skein Wonders, 101 Designer 1 Skein Wonders, and 101 Luxury Yarn 1 Skein Wonders. So I'm gonna check out at the library and see if I can find some of those other books that she has put together, just to see what I can see, because I'm always looking for ideas. Like I said, we're always getting yarn. You have this 1 skein left over, or you got something from a mystery box that you didn't use up, and yeah. Oh, see, there's that one right on the cover. That one that I'm looking at with the dippity-doo at the end. So, and kiddos, making stuff for kiddos. with the littler amounts of yarn is always a thing. So anywho, that's it for this week. That's it for Finish It Friday. Next week, I will get those things blocked. I'll get the ends woven in, and I will dig through my stuff and see what I got to work on. I know I could have that. I know I have the stocking, but like I said, I can't work on it for very long because it hurts my hand to work on that. And I honestly cannot even remember what my other project was. I do have Mr. Second Sock that I need to get going on. I did cast it on, but I got a twist in it, so I have to take it apart and start it over. And because it's in the round, and when I connected it, somehow I twisted it. I guess that's a thing. And other than that, I literally cannot remember what I was working on. So there's that. And nope, cannot remember. Did I finish something? No, that couldn't be. I know I finished the Franken blanket, but I'm sure there was something else that I was working on in there too. I'll figure it out. I will figure it out. We got the motorhome back from the shop. It's only been in there since October. And so I got to get it cleaned up because it's been closed up for, since October. So it's smelling a little musty. So it needs to be freshened up and aired out and cleaned. It still needs to be cleaned. And so Morgan and I are going to give it a good cleaning. She wants to do a little road trip with it. Not a road trip so much as just go camping a little bit. It's too early really to go camping, but she wants to. And then I'm gonna start turning it into a little bit of a mini yarn bus for me. Move some things out to there and give myself, just set up a little craft area in there. It won't be totally craft area. It won't be totally my craft area, but it's gonna have some stuff out there so that I can spread out a little bit with my yarn, because I just don't have any place in the house that isn't taking over our living space. And then I don't have to worry about Mr. moving things or stuff like that. So that's the plan there. So I might be out there working on that next week and getting it cleaned up and turning it into a little bit of a craft room, as it were. We shall see. But anywho, please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.